Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the English Talk channel. I'm Anna, and I'm really excited about today's conversation because we're talking about something that almost everyone experiences at some point. To be perfectly honest, even confident speakers feel uncomfortable when they make a social mistake, especially when they're speaking in a second language.
And I'm Leo. We're very happy to have you here for another deep dive into natural, real-life English. Today, we're not focusing on grammar rules or isolated vocabulary words, but on how language helps you recover emotionally when something goes wrong. These moments are often stressful, but they're also powerful learning opportunities.
Exactly. Instead of memorizing short apologies like sorry or excuse me, we want to show you how longer, more thoughtful phrases can completely change how people perceive you. These expressions help you sound calm, polite, and emotionally aware even when you're nervous inside.
And that's why this topic matters so much. Knowing how to apologize properly isn't just about being polite, it's about building trust and confidence in everyday social interactions.
And if lessons like this help you feel more confident speaking English, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the English Talk channel so you don't miss our future conversations.
Anna, I want to start by sharing a situation that happened to me recently, because I think many learners will relate to it. To be perfectly honest, it was one of those moments that stayed in my mind long after it was over. I was at a small gathering, and I accidentally spilled a drink on someone's jacket.
That kind of situation immediately puts pressure on you, especially if English isn't your first language. What made it challenging for you at that moment?
What made it difficult was that my brain suddenly went blank. I knew I needed to apologize, but I didn't want to sound careless or too casual. Simply saying sorry felt insufficient, considering the situation, and I could feel myself getting more nervous with every second.
That reaction is incredibly common. When people feel embarrassed or stressed, their language often becomes shorter and simpler. That's exactly why preparing longer phrases in advance can be so helpful.
I remember taking a breath and saying, "I'm so sorry about that. It was completely unintentional." As soon as I said it, I noticed the tension in the conversation changed. It felt like the situation became calmer almost instantly.
That sentence works well because it communicates more than just regret. When you say completely unintentional, you're explaining that there was no bad intention behind the action without trying to escape responsibility.
After that, I added, "I take full responsibility for the mistake, and I really hope it didn't cause too much inconvenience." Saying that made me feel more composed, even though I was still embarrassed.
And that's a very important point. Phrases like, I take full responsibility signal maturity and accountability. They show that you respect the other person and the situation.
I also noticed that when I said, "Please let me make it up to you," it shifted the focus from the mistake itself to what I could do next. It felt like a natural way to move the conversation forward.
Exactly. Apologies feel more complete when they include intention. You're not only acknowledging the problem, but you're also showing that you care about repairing the situation.
As far as I'm concerned, learning how to handle moments like this is just as important as learning how to introduce yourself or order food. Social mistakes are unavoidable, but sounding confident afterward really changes how people respond to you.
I completely agree. And what's encouraging is that these phrases can be used in many different situations, not just accidents. Forgetting someone's name, interrupting someone, or arriving late are all moments where this kind of language is useful.
Let's pause the story for a moment and talk more deeply about the language itself. Anna, when I started with, "to be perfectly honest," what does that phrase communicate to the listener?
That phrase prepares the listener for sincerity. It tells them that what you're about to say is genuine and personal. Compared to just saying honestly, it sounds more reflective and emotionally open.
Could I also say to tell you the truth in a similar situation?
Yes, you could. However, to be perfectly honest often sounds slightly warmer and more thoughtful, which works especially well in emotional or sensitive conversations.
Another phrase I want to talk about is, I'm so sorry about that. It was completely unintentional. Why does that sound more natural than just, I didn't mean it?
Because it's more complete, I didn't mean it can sometimes sound defensive on its own. Adding, I'm so sorry about that first makes the explanation softer and more polite.
That makes sense. I also used, I take full responsibility for the mistake. It felt strong when I said it, almost formal.
It is strong, but that's not a bad thing. This phrase is often used in professional settings, but it also works socially when you want to sound sincere and respectful. It removes any doubt about whether you're trying to avoid blame.
What about, please let me make it up to you? I hear that a lot in movies and series.
Native speakers love that phrase because it focuses on action. It shows willingness to fix the problem rather than just talk about it.
I also said, I hope you can forgive me. Is that too emotional for small mistakes?
It depends on your tone. Said calmly, it sounds sincere, but for very small issues, you could soften it with, I hope that's okay, or I appreciate your understanding.
One expression learners often ask me about is, as far as I'm concerned. How should they use it correctly?
That phrase introduces a personal opinion. When you say, as far as I'm concerned, you're making it clear that what follows is your perspective, not a universal truth.
Now let's imagine another situation and talk it through together, still here in the studio. Suppose I forgot someone's name during a conversation, which can feel extremely awkward.
That's a perfect example. How would you handle it now?
I would probably say, I'm really sorry. My mind just went blank for a moment, and that's entirely on me. Saying that feels honest and calm.
That's an excellent response. That's entirely on me clearly accepts responsibility without sounding dramatic or overly apologetic.
I might also add, I truly didn't mean to come across as careless. That phrase helps explain how I feel about the situation.
And that's a very polished sentence. It shows emotional awareness and respect for how the other person might perceive the mistake.
Later, if I wanted to follow up, I could say, I hope you can forgive the momentary confusion. It sounds slightly formal, but still warm.
That's a great example of adapting your language to a semi-formal or professional context. It sounds confident and thoughtful.
To be honest, using these phrases makes me feel more in control even when I make a mistake. It reminds me that the mistake doesn't define the entire interaction.
That's a very important realization. What defines the interaction is how you handle the situation afterward.
Before we finish, let's talk about a common problem learners have with apologies.
One common error is apologizing too much. Saying sorry repeatedly can make you sound nervous or unsure. One clear, well-structured apology is usually more effective.
And here's a pro tip for sounding more like a native speaker. When you apologize, slow down your speech slightly and lower your tone at the end of the sentence. It makes your apology sound calmer, more sincere, and more confident.
That small adjustment can completely change how your words are received.
So the main takeaway from today is this. Mistakes are normal, but the right language helps you recover with confidence and grace.
We'd love to hear from you. In the comments, share a situation where you made a small social mistake and try to use at least one expression we practiced today.
Thank you so much for watching the English Talk channel.
We'll see you in the next lesson.